What if everything you thought you knew about creating perfect garden soil was wrong? What if that compost pile you've been turning religiously, that expensive organic matter you've been hauling to your beds, and those countless hours spent perfecting your decomposition ratios were all just scratching the surface of what's truly possible? Prepare to discover a secret underground network that's been doing the work for you all along, potentially making your traditional composting approach seem like reinventing the wheel. Picture this. You walk into a thriving forest where no human has ever composted, yet the soil beneath your feet is richer, more fertile, and more alive than anything you've ever created in your garden. The forest floor isn't piled high with decomposing leaves in neat bins or turned weakly with a pitchfork. Instead, nature has engineered something far more elegant and efficient. Get ready to unlock this ultimate shortcut to fertile soil that's been hiding right beneath your feet. Every gardener has experienced that moment of soil envy. You know the feeling when you visit that one garden where everything grows with impossible vigor, where plants seem to thrive effortlessly, and where the soil practically glows with health. Meanwhile, your own beds struggle despite your best efforts with compost fertilizers and endless amendments. The secret difference isn't always what you can see above ground. It's what's happening in an invisible world beneath the surface, where an ancient partnership has been quietly revolutionizing soil creation for over 400 million years. This hidden difference lies in the mycorrhizal networks that healthy soils harbor. These aren't just random soil organisms going about their business. They're sophisticated biological systems that actively manufacture the very substance every gardener craves: stable, long-lasting humus. While you've been focused on creating compost to eventually become humus, nature has been producing the real thing directly through these fungal partnerships. The most remarkable part? This process doesn't just match traditional composting, it actually surpasses it in every meaningful way. The visual difference becomes obvious once you know what to look for. Healthy garden soil with active mycorrhizal networks has a distinctly different structure. It crumbles perfectly in your hands, holds moisture without becoming waterlogged, and has that rich, earthy smell that really speaks of life and abundance. Struggling soil, by contrast, often feels either dusty and lifeless or dense and clayey, lacking the complex aggregation that only these fungal networks can create. The exciting truth is that you can bypass traditional composting entirely and tap directly into this superior soil-building system. To understand this underground revolution, you need to grasp what mycorrhizal fungi actually are and how they operate. These aren't the mushrooms you see popping up after rain, though they're related. Mycorrhizal fungi are microscopic organisms whose thread-like structures, called hyphae, form intricate webs throughout the soil. These networks are so fine that a single teaspoon of healthy soil can contain miles of these fungal threads, creating a living internet that connects plants across your entire garden. It's truly fascinating how interconnected everything is beneath our feet. The relationship these fungi form with plant roots is pure biological genius. The fungi literally merge with root systems, creating hybrid structures where plant and fungus become one integrated organism. Your plants pump sugars and carbon compounds directly to the fungi through their roots, essentially paying for services with the energy they capture from sunlight. It's a remarkable system of give and take that benefits both parties immensely. In return, the fungi act as super-efficient nutrient gatherers, extending the effective reach of your plant's root systems by up to 1,000 times. They mine phosphorus from rock particles, capture nitrogen from organic matter, and deliver water from distant soil pores that roots could never access alone. It's amazing to think about how much these fungi contribute to the health and vitality of your garden. But here's where the magic really happens. This partnership doesn't just feed your plants, it actively creates humus. As the fungi process organic matter and cycle nutrients, they produce stable carbon compounds that bind soil particles together into those perfect crumb-like aggregates. These fungal secretions, combined with the dead fungal tissue that's constantly being renewed, form the backbone of what we call humus. Unlike the temporary organic matter you add through composting, this biologically produced humus is incredibly stable, sometimes persisting in soil for decades or even centuries. Most gardeners think of humus as simply well-decomposed compost, but that's like confusing a sketch with a masterpiece. Real humus is a complex, stable substance that represents the end product of countless biological processes working in perfect harmony. So, traditional composting, it creates organic matter that will eventually contribute to humus formation. But here's the thing, mycorrhizal networks actually manufacture the real humus compounds directly through their metabolic processes. The crucial difference really lies in how these fungal networks aggregate soil particles and create stable carbon compounds. When mycorrhizal fungi process organic matter, they're not just breaking it down, they're rebuilding it into entirely new molecular structures that are way more stable than anything simple decomposition can produce. They actually coat soil particles with these sticky substances called glomalin, which, in a sense, glue your soil into the perfect growing medium. This process is what creates the ideal soil structure every gardener dreams about. It's well-draining yet moisture-retentive, loose enough for roots to penetrate but stable enough so it doesn't erode. The practical benefits of this biologically formed humus go far beyond what traditional compost can achieve. Mycorrhizal humus provides superior water retention, holding moisture during dry spells while preventing waterlogging during wet periods. It creates ideal conditions for nutrient availability, holding essential elements in forms that plants can access precisely when they need them. Perhaps most importantly, healthy mycorrhizal networks provide incredible disease suppression, creating a protective environment around your plant's roots that crowds out harmful pathogens before they can establish themselves. This network-produced humus also has remarkable longevity. While compost might improve your soil for a season or two, mycorrhizal humus continues building year after year. Each growing season, the network becomes more extensive and more efficient. Your soil literally gets better with time, requiring fewer inputs and producing better results each year. It's the ultimate example of working with nature instead of against it. The beauty of mycorrhizal networks is that nature wants to establish them in your garden. You just need to stop interfering and start encouraging these partnerships. The first and most important step is embracing minimal soil disturbance. Every time you till, dig, or otherwise disturb the soil structure, you're literally tearing apart the fungal networks that took months or years to establish. Instead of breaking up the soil mechanically, allow the fungi to do this work biologically, by creating the perfect soil structure from within. This means transitioning to no-till or minimal-till gardening methods wherever possible. So, when you need to plant, it's best to dig only the specific holes you need rather than, working entire beds. And when adding organic matter, just layer it on the surface and allow the soil biology to incorporate it naturally. Avoiding synthetic fertilizers and pesticides becomes really critical when you're trying to foster these fungal partnerships. Chemical fertilizers, especially those high in phosphorus, actually discourage mycorrhizal formation because they make plants, kind of lazy. When nutrients are freely available in simple forms, plants stop investing energy in their fungal partnerships. Cover cropping accelerates mycorrhizal network development dramatically. When you keep living roots in the soil throughout the year, you provide continuous food sources for the fungi, allowing their populations to, really explode. So, when it comes to cover crops, it's a smart idea to choose diverse mixes that include grasses, legumes, and broadleaf plants. You see, different plant families partner with different types of mycorrhizal fungi. This diversity, well, it creates a more robust and resilient network, and that's great because it can support a wider variety of garden plants. Now, for those gardeners out there who are eager to jumpstart this process, mycorrhizal inoculants offer an excellent shortcut. These products, they contain dormant fungal spores that activate when they encounter plant roots and soil moisture. It's pretty fascinating how it works, really. While healthy soil will eventually develop these networks naturally, using inoculants can establish partnerships in the first growing season rather than waiting years for native populations to build up. So, you'll want to apply them when transplanting seedlings or direct seeding for maximum effectiveness. It's a little trick that can really make a big difference. When you successfully establish thriving mycorrhizal networks in your garden, you're not just improving your soil. You're participating in a regenerative revolution that could, really transform how we think about agriculture and gardening. Visualize your garden 5 years from now, with soil so alive and well-structured that it pretty much takes care of itself. Imagine plants that rarely suffer from pest or disease problems because they're growing in an environment that actively supports their health. Vegetables and flowers that thrive with minimal inputs simply because they have access to a sophisticated biological support system. This isn't just a fantasy, it's the documented reality in gardens and farms that have successfully transitioned to mycorrhizal-based soil management. The long-term impact extends far beyond individual garden beds. Healthy mycorrhizal networks are honestly incredibly effective at sequestering carbon from the atmosphere and storing it in stable forms in the soil. The economic benefits are equally compelling. Gardens with established mycorrhizal networks require dramatically fewer inputs over time. You'll spend less on fertilizers, soil amendments, pest control, and replacement plants. Water usage drops as the improved soil structure retains moisture more effectively. Disease problems become rare events rather than constant battles. The initial investment in time and patience, well, it pays dividends for decades to come. Perhaps most importantly, this approach represents a fundamental shift in how we relate to our gardens. Instead of fighting against natural processes or trying to control every variable, you become a partner in an ancient biological system that's been perfecting itself for hundreds of millions of years. You learn to observe and work with the subtle signs of soil health rather than imposing solutions from the outside. This deeper connection with the living systems in your garden transforms the entire gardening experience from a series of tasks into a collaborative relationship with nature. The implications of understanding mycorrhizal networks extend beyond soil improvement into a complete reimagining of sustainable gardening. When you grasp that these fungal partnerships can create superior humus without traditional composting, you begin to see your garden as part of a larger ecosystem rather than a collection of individual plants that need constant management. So, start observing your soil differently today. Look for the subtle signs of mycorrhizal activity, like soil that just crumbles perfectly in your hands, the presence of beneficial insects and earthworms, and plants that seem, unusually resilient and vigorous. These indicators tell you that the underground economy is thriving and working in your favor. The transition to mycorrhizal-based gardening doesn't happen overnight, but every step you take in this direction, well, it really compounds over time. Begin with one bed, one section of your garden, or even just a few container plants. Try to avoid disturbing the soil unnecessarily, reduce chemical inputs, and pay close attention to how the soil structure changes over the growing season. Honestly, the results will convince you more effectively than any article or video ever could. This knowledge, it really puts you at the forefront of a gardening revolution that's returning to biological principles that actually predate human agriculture. You're not just growing plants. You're cultivating a living system that becomes more productive and resilient with each passing year. The underground network you nurture today will be, well, the foundation of your garden's success for decades to come. So, are you ready to revolutionize your approach to soil health and discover what your garden can become when you work with nature instead of against it? Go ahead and subscribe to Smart Garden for more insights into regenerative growing techniques that will transform your gardening results. And hey, share this information with fellow gardeners who are ready to move beyond traditional composting and tap into nature's ultimate soil building system. The underground revolution really starts with gardeners like you who are willing to see their soil through new eyes.